Well, Wade and I are excited once again to sit down with one of our members, Charla Fishbach, who's been with us here since July of 2010, to be able to share the experiences that she's had and the insights about the MACD3 system. So thanks, Charla, for sitting down with us today.
It's my pleasure.
All right, so the first question to kick off the interview, we'd like to ask you what line of work you've been in prior to trading, and then beyond that, what made you decide to become a Forex trader?
The line of work that I had been in for many years was financial services, where I worked with people with life and health insurance and also various investments. I had my CLU, my CHFC, my Series 7. And so I had learned a lot about the business, and things were going along just fine. And what happened in 2008, and learning how the regulators were not regulating the people that they should be regulating, but they were over-regulating the little people who were just, struggling to, to do what was right for all of their customers. It was pretty discouraging to learn what really was behind the total meltdown of the stock market and all of that. And I just decided about 4 years ago that, 3 years ago really, that I really wanted to be in a business where I was not responsible for the financial futures of others. It was just too much. And so I had learned about the Forex trading and decided that, hey, I should be able to master this. It didn't look that difficult. And yeah, right. It does take quite a while to really get an understanding of the market and how the Forex market really does work. But just wanting to be responsible for me and wanting to transition out of the business that I was in.
Sure. So the next question would be then, how long have you been trading the Forex in general? And then what market opens are your favorite to trade?
Well, I've been trading for about 4 years, and from the very beginning, the London and the pre-London markets have been most intriguing to me. That seems to be where usually we have a fairly quiet Asian session, and things begin to heat up and start to move with the London session. And of course, those who have been interested in the London session, there are all kinds of programs out there on, how to trade the London session, and it's called the London Breakout Session, and that's always fascinated me. So basically, I kind of like the London session. I'm not comfortable with the Asian session, and I'm really not as comfortable with the New York session unless we, have a situation where we're going to really get some big moves in the New York session. But the bigger moves seem to come in the London session. It does play heck with your sleep patterns. You walk around sleep deprived most of the time.
All right, thank you for sharing.
Hi, Charla. This is Wade here. What
Hi,
challenges?
Wade.
Hi. How are you doing? What challenges did you face prior to using the MACD3 system and the trading program? And how is the MACD3 system helping you to overcome some of those challenges?
Well, I was always amused in the beginning when I had mentors who would tell me to plan your trade and trade your plan. And I'd look at the charts and think, okay, if I kind of knew what was going on, maybe I could plan my trade and trade my plan.
Sure.
And basically, now with MACD's system, I have a really good idea of price direction and entries, exits. leave a little bit to be desired. Another thing that happened to me in the early days of trading was that I had something called indicatoritis, the use of too many indicators. So many indicators that you can't see the candlesticks on your charts. Now, with you guys, there's just a few indicators. You've got it down to just what needs to be there, and it's keeping my charts a whole lot simpler, and I can actually see the candlesticks and see what's going on. In the early days, I studied Elliott waves and Wolf waves and patterns that had such names as the Gartley and the bat and the crab and the butterfly. And, those were interesting to learn about, but they really didn't take into account really the smaller nuances of how the market moves. If you were trading with, let's say, a 200 pip stop loss, and you were going for maybe 100 pips, which is not really good risk reward, or you were going for 200 pips, well, maybe you could get those patterns to work. But the small nuances, and that's what the MACD system does, is that, it helps you to keep your stops very tight by waiting for that pullback. And knowing where your significant levels of resistance and support happen to be. And what I like about you guys is that unlike a lot of mentors that I had in the past, that their course was just the answer for absolutely everything. It was the be all end all, and you didn't learn how to trade taking that course? Well, guess what? For just $199.95, I have another course that you can take, and I'm sure that you'll learn how to trade with that other course. And I've been with mentors who had what you would call the trade du jour, the trade of the day. It was actually a new trade every week, and it was just way, way, way too much. The thing that I like is that everything is included in what I consider to be one very economical price, and just so many things that we have that we can make use of. So I would say that the MACD3 system has really simplified my life. It's made it a whole lot easier for me to understand what's going on with the price action and where price might possibly go, unless you have some European speaking and sends everything one way without too much warning. But for the most part, MACD3 system is absolutely wonderful, and I really appreciate the tight stops, because I'm just not I'm not cut out for 100 or 200 pip stop loss.
Yeah, we tend to like 25 to 35 pip stop losses ourselves, so we totally understand where you're coming from there. A follow-up to that question, lots of folks, when they are trying to gain a new skill in the Forex industry, they have their own personal challenges like work, kids, or whatever the issue may be, that they've also got to work through those personal challenges from that side of the fence. And we're just curious if you've had any personal challenges that you've had to overcome as well during this journey.
Well, the personal challenges, I think, probably are the development of more patience and discipline, the psychology of trading, very definitely personality type. I almost think that that I have a personality that maybe wasn't exactly cut out for trading, but through sitting down and really trying to understand that patience and discipline is my very big challenge. That's been a really big thing for me, is to develop the patience and the discipline, and also unlearning many of the bad habits that I had developed over the past 3 or 4 years in trading. You emphasize, learn to do it right, practice doing it right. Perfect practice makes perfection. And, doing it wrong, imperfect practice makes a mess of your trading. So I've had to just really unlearn a lot of the bad habits that I had developed.
Sure.
Great.
Sure.
So
Thanks.
those are my challenges.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing. This is Steve again. At the onset of the interview, we talked about that you've been with us since July of 2010. So you've been a member for quite a while here and trading the MACD3 system. As a member and as someone who's been trading it for that amount of time, why would you recommend our MACD3 trading system and training program to other Forex traders, whether they're members or not?
Well, for one thing, I think that the course that you've developed, the recorded videos, are just awesome. And I like the way that they have been put together this last time, because they're short, sweet, and to the point. And you take each subject and you break it down like a building block. And everyone's brain works a little differently, but when you go to construct, let's say we go to construct a pyramid, we have got to have all of those building blocks on the bottom that need to be on the bottom before we go to the building blocks on the second level.
Right.
Because if we insert the top building block, when we haven't built the foundation up for the top building block, you just don't put it together. The brain just doesn't put it together. And everyone's brains works a little bit differently. And I think that you really have to keep going over the courses. I would really recommend going over at least a part of the course every weekend, so that you refresh your brain, your memory for it. They say that you need to have rest in between every time you put new information or even old new information into your brain. And so, once a week, every weekend, to go over some part of the course to remind yourself of those items. The fast tracks that are recorded, quite often you'll do an hour on a fast track. I listen to it as a recording. It may take me 3 hours to get through it because I take notes and I go back and I re-listen to what you have to say, and I pick up the little nuances that perhaps I would miss if I was just listening to it in without making those stops. The live webinars every day are absolutely awesome. They really get you up to speed as to what to look for in real time. The charts, they are worth their weight in gold. They're all set up. You've got the red levels. I mean, you taught us how to draw the red levels in there, which are the major areas of support and resistance. You can't trade without those major levels of support and resistance. The room that we can go to at night, the trading room that we can go to during the London session, or any time we can meet our friends in there and chat. I have been kind of absent from the room for the last month because of everything that's been going on with us, but that is really a phenomenal addition and something that we all had really wanted for quite some time, and Hope is just awesome in there, along with a lot of the other traders that are in there. And then the fact that you guys are constantly improving what you put out there for us. The constant improvement is just tremendous, and I would say that an anyone that is thinking about studying Forex, becoming successful with Forex, that they would do themselves a great favor by becoming a member of the MACD3 community and becoming just a part of this great group of people and allowing Steve and Wade both to become their mentors. I think that you have to allow yourself plenty of time to absorb the material. I think that there are some of the younger traders that have brains that just kind of grasp this material more quickly, and others like myself, I think I have a high brain coordination problem, so it's taken me just a little bit longer to really grasp all of the information. And also, if you've learned to trade the wrong way, which I did, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to overcome and to become successful. So those are basically some of the ideas that I have. And one thing that I might add, a lot of you may wonder why I trade just the euro US dollar. My husband and I travel quite a bit, and so in the motorhome, I have to keep my computers down to just a laptop. And when you have just one screen to trade off of, it's almost impossible to trade more than one currency pair at a time. So that's the reason that I trade the euro US dollar instead of trading all four of the currencies. Plus the fact the currencies quite often move in tandem. So, when you're trading one, you're trading all of them. And sometimes you don't get a trade with the euro, and I will admit that it's been really trading the euro the last week or so has been it's been a challenge. It really has. But this too will end. And so anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Awesome. Well, Charla, this is Wade again. I was just wondering, you've been with us for a little bit, and everybody's got their challenges. What would you recommend as far as somebody that's looking to come on board? How long do you think of a minimum type of commitment is necessary for someone to really give themselves a fair shake on this investment of their skill set?
I would think that they would need to spend at least 6 months. It depends upon their prior experience. It depends upon their ability to come in, get the material, and follow the directions. Follow the sequences of the trades. But it's somebody that's new, that has never looked at a chart before, you're going to need at least 6 months and possibly a little bit more. Someone that, hasn't developed too many bad habits, I think probably, 4 to 6 months. But it's different for everybody.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's different because everybody's brain is, it's wired differently. And,
right.
You have to be able to trust what you see and leave what you feel at the door of your trading room.
Perfect.
You've got to have that coordination of your eye-brain coordination. You just have to have that.
Absolutely. I think that's. I think you noted that perfectly, and it makes a lot of sense. There's so many people that come into this Forex market and they're looking for a quick fix, or they're looking because they've heard they can do this, that they can spend a limited amount of time and make all this money. And it's just simply not true. If you think about it, building the building blocks for the skill sets that are necessary to compete with the big boys in this marketplace is a skill set that is probably can become one of the highest paid professions in the world. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever that someone could come in and be able to do that in just a very, very short period of time without some sort of expectation of needing to work for it. After all, what 4-year degree or any other profession for that matter, unless you're starting your own business and it just happens to take off and you're the next Google or Yahoo or something, what business or profession doesn't require you to take the time to learn? So the one thing that's constant about most of the folks that we've been talking to is they've been seconding that motion that you've got to invest in yourself and spend the time. And if you do that before you just immediately start trading live, then you're going to be doing yourself a huge favor, and your account will be very, very happy as well.
Yep.
Well, one of the things that I'd like to add here is that a lot of times individuals are looking to become multimillionaires in doing this, and just one thing that that I would like to add is the fact that you really do have to trust the indicators that you have. You have to trust the MACD3 system. You have to put your faith and your trust in the MACD3 system. You have to trust those indicators, because if you don't trust, you're gonna crash and burn. And I know that I have a friend who's a pilot, and he once said that people who get lost in the fog quite often will have instruments that work perfectly that tell them that they are starting to go into a downward spiral down to earth, but because they're in a fog, they don't feel that they are going down, and they actually are taking themselves down because they're going by what they feel, not by what they are seeing with the instruments. And that if you do not trust your instruments when you're flying in the fog, that you will crash. And the same thing is true with the MACD3 system. If you do not trust your indicators, if you do not trust the materials that you guys have put together for us, the way to do the trading, then you're going to crash and you're going to burn that account, and you're going to have to refund it with more money if you don't learn how to trust the system and the indicators that you have.
Well, thank you, Charla. That's well said. It is very important to definitely do that. So, we really want to thank you for your time today. Some great insights that you've shared with us and with those who might be listening to the interview. So, thank you so much for your time, Charla.
Yeah, thanks, Charla.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Happy